Should I stage my house or just sell it as is? This is the ultimate seller's dilemma these days. And let's be honest, the wrong choice could cost you tens of thousands of dollars. In this video, I'm going to break down the real costs of staging versus the surprising returns that would put more money in your pocket. So, we're going to explore the buyer psychology in this market and just try to find out why this all works and give you a very clear framework so that you can make the best decision for your sale. So, at this point, I would like to share a little story with you. About 3 years ago, I had an opportunity to work with a seller who had a unit, a condominium, 2 bedroom, 2 bath condo on the west side. And they decided to put the property on the market without going through staging. And of course, we did discuss the advantages of the staging, but at that time, they did not want to spend the additional money that it required to stage the property and go on the market. To make the long story short, the unit was on the market for over 4 months and they decided to pull it out and use it as a rental. The property was rented right away and they were very happy with the tenants. However, about a year and a half, they come back to me and they say that they're basically having enough with having a tenant and they would like to put the property back on the market. So, as you can imagine, this time around, I was more equipped to convince them about staging. And that's what we did. I consulted multiple staging companies and I decided to go with the most reasonable one. And what I experienced with the principals of the company, it was that since they have experience with multiple properties and the different types of properties, they know exactly how to stage a 2 bedroom condo so that it's more appealing to the market out there. Like, for example, they used the second bedroom that had always been used as an office. They decided to put a king size bed to show the buyers how big the room was and what other options they might have. The cost for that 2 bedroom condo staging, full staging, was about, I want to say, about $4,000, but it was money well spent because not only we got an offer, but we went into multiple offers and we went over the asking price. So as you can imagine, the sellers were happy, the buyers were happy, and all I can tell you, if you consult the right professional and the right people, it would be a win-win situation for all parties involved. In my years as real estate agent, I've seen sellers who skipped staging, later kicking themselves after accepting a lowball offer. And I've seen sellers who were skeptical at the beginning about the cost. And the difference often comes down to understanding the numbers and the buyer's mindset. And that's exactly what we're going to talk about. So let's break down the real costs that are involved. The biggest hurdle for most sellers is when they hear about staging, they often imagine getting a bill for tens of thousands of dollars. And while that could be true for a massive luxury property, the reality is that the smaller home, the staging is so much more manageable. So the cost to stage a house could be broken down in several levels. First is the consultation. Just think as if a consultant come to your property and you give them a tour of your property. They go room by room and they give you a detailed explanation of what you need to be doing, how to declutter, how to rearrange the furniture. And that, in my experience, for my sellers, it has always been about $250 to $300. The next level is the partial or occupied staging. So when a house is occupied, you can do a partial staging, meaning that the stager would come to your house and only bring like key pieces of art, linens, lighting, and accessories to really make a huge impact for a relatively modest investment. And for a full day, them working on your property, they can probably charge you around, I want to say, $800 to $3,000, depending on the type of the property and how big it is. And then finally is it's a staging for a vacant home. That's a totally different ballgame. So the house is vacant and they bring in everything from the furniture to the artwork to accessories. The full staging can cost anywhere between, I want to say, 3,000 to much more. Like it can go up to tens of thousands. It depends on what package you get, but you can always negotiate and make sure that you do get a good deal. So let's talk about your return on investment. Staging really, it's not considered an expense. It's a marketing investment that is designed to maximize your profit. And the 2025 data is overwhelmingly clear. It works. Let's also talk about the final sale price. According to a 2025 report from National Association of Realtors, nearly a third of agents reported that staging increased the dollar value offered by buyers by 1 to 10%. So, if we put that into perspective, with our hypothetical $500,000 home, a 5% increase is an extra $25,000 in your pocket. A 10% increase is $50,000. So suddenly that $5,000 staging investment, not only it pays by itself, but it generates a massive amount of profit. There is no doubt that it's money well spent. And also, the return isn't just about the higher price, it's also about the speed of the sale because time is money. So every month that you don't sell, you have to pay taxes. There are expenses that have to be paid. So the data consistently shows that staged homes sell dramatically faster. Staging is also your best defense against the dreaded price reductions. An unstaged home that feels awkward and dated is far more likely to sit on the market than one that has been staged. So now let's look at the buyer psychology. So, why does staging have such dramatic financial impact? It's because buying a home isn't purely logical decision. It's deeply emotional. The most important thing staging does is to help buyers visualize the property as their future home. An empty room is like a blank page in a coloring book. Some people see the potential, but most just see an intimidating amount of work. Staging is like showing them a beautifully colored in version. It shows them what's possible and makes them want to live inside that picture. So, Now, let's talk about the alternative, the as is alternative. When does it make sense for you to just say no to staging? Honestly, while I believe staging is one of the most powerful tools in a seller's kit, there are specific situations that selling a home as is the right strategic move. The most obvious case is for a true fixer-upper. If the home has a major structural issues, a failing roof, or needs a complete gut renovation, spending money is like putting a lipstick on a pig. The target buyer in these situations is an investor who is not even going to live at the property. So they're just buying the house for its bone. And in that situation, it really doesn't make sense to spend more money on staging. Another time that maybe you should not consider staging is when it's super hot sellers market, that whatever you put on the market, it goes into multiple offers, and you know that you really don't need to do any staging. Of course, that could be risky too, because sometimes you get a higher price for a staged property, but you really don't have to go through the trouble if the market bears a strong selling price anyway. So let's go back to our original question. Should you stage or sell as is? As we've seen, the data is quite compelling. For the vast majority of sellers, staging isn't just about making things look nice. It's a powerful financial strategy that leads to a faster sale, a higher price, and a much smoother transaction. It's an investment that can turn a stressful process into a profitable success story. So ultimately, the choice depends on your specific property, your local market, and your personal goals. When you stop seeing staging as an expense and start seeing it as a marketing investment, you empower yourself to make the choice that will truly put more money in your pocket at closing. So if you found this video helpful, please subscribe for more data-driven real estate advice. And if you're wrestling with this decision for your own home, leave a comment below and I'll do my best to answer your questions. Thank you for watching again. Let's connect on this channel and hopefully you'll share this with your friend. And as usual, I'm here to brainstorm and be of help to your next chapter.